Hi, this is Paul Green, and the weather is kind of funky here in Alabama, but welcome to Martial Logic, episode 4, Crawling Out of the Abyss. Uh, Now, before we get started, one thing that I'm going to be doing different with these is these are really just a synopsis, for different, monologues and commentaries in the book that I'm working on. But some of them have gone a little bit longer than I would have wanted. I actually don't know how long these are going to be when I start talking. I have no freaking idea. Um, it just to get a good synopsis out there and get a good dialogue going. But what I've decided to do, since some of these are getting kind of long, is after about 20 minutes, I'm going to kind of cut them off, and when I post these on the blog, they'll be in 20-minute increments. So maybe somebody could listen for 20 minutes, and then if they want to go away for a while and come back, they can click on the other video and they don't lose their place or something. So it just to help you kind of be able to check everything out and make it easier for you guys. Um, when well, basically what we're going to be talking about here is people, negative people in your life. And people, as was said, the blog itself started out as a martial arts oriented type of a thing, and there's still a lot of that, but the things that we're talking about in this can affect everything. There's we talked about in the intro things in your life that affect your martial arts. If you're a martial artist and you have goals and you have benchmarks that you set for yourself, and you have negative people in your life drawing you away from it, and drawing you away from being able to do the things that you like to do. You need to get rid of those people. It's just that simple, and we're going to talk about some of them. We're going to talk about some personal things that have happened to me in my life, and the lessons that that I've learned from it. Right off the bat, the first thing I think of when I think about this subject, and where the title kind of comes from, is the Friedrich Nietzsche quote. If you stare into be careful when you stare into the abyss. If you or whatever, be careful if you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss will stare back into you. I see that written a lot of different ways. I mean, it was originally written in German, so you always see it paraphrased in English. There's not an exact English quote for it, but that really sticks with me when I think about this subject. Um, and we're not just talking about people that are like just miserable all the time. I mean, we're talking about angry people or people engaged in certain types of behavior, and everything. And when you talk about self-defense, it's not always physical self-defense. Sometimes you have to protect yourself mentally as well, because there's a lot of people out there that'll jack you up. Be really really bad examples. I learned this firsthand when I was younger, and and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But one example that I can give is just basically we all have members of our own family that we don't like to hang around with. I have them in mind. People that just don't do anything. They're not happy. It seems like they're not happy unless there's some kind of a drama going on in their lives. I have family members that I don't see a lot. I mean, they're still family. You still love them, but I don't spend a lot of time with them, because the only time they seem to be taking any kind of action is suing somebody, or the only time you ever talk to them, the only thing they want to talk about is how somebody done them dirty or somebody screwed them over, and they're pissed off about it, or they done something to them to pay them back for something they done to them, and everything else, and they try to drag you into it. But the thing is, you have your own goals, you have your own focus, you have your own uh, hopes and dreams. You ain't got time for their shit. Um, people will drag you down, and I'm not saying this. I'm not saying don't be compassionate. Be compassionate. There's people that are going to need your help, and if you can help them, help them. But there's just certain people that aren't happy unless they got something to bitch about, something to be angry at, something to where they can play the victim role, and everything to get something out of you that maybe you don't want to come off of. Those people are out there, and the world is full of them, full of them. And right now, I mean, it's almost like a certain sect of our society enables them, just enables this bullshit behavior. Because these people, there's some people that just cannot grow the hell up. They just can't. Well, they can, but they won't. They choose not to because they'll always find someone to enable, their shitty behavior. I'll, give you a perfect example. There's a friend of mine. We were friends growing up, and everything, and he got in some trouble with the police at a very, very young age, and but because of this, his parents and everything were kind of into this whole tough love thing, so they wouldn't even let him in their own home, their own kid. They wouldn't let in their own home. And he actually had to live in the garage, and they wouldn't feed him. And I remember being 16, 17 years old. I'd tell my mother about it, and we would sneak him food over there so he would have food to eat, so the guy wouldn't starve to death. And everything, done a lot to help this guy. And as we got older, he got a job, moved on, had a kid and everything. And I mean, we went through hell with this person. But as time went on, it started to change, and it just through a lack of self confidence and other flaws and everything, it just turned to be a really horrible person. And I got to where I didn't want to have nothing to do with him at all, And I mean, you're talking like you're racist, homophobe, sexist. I mean, every schism that you can think of, this dude had it. But I'd get that call once a year, even after, I broke everything off and stopped, hanging with him. Once a year, hey, man, I'll give you a call, man, I hadn't talked to you in a long time, and got to think about all the stuff we used to do when we was younger and everything else. I get roped into going spending some time with this person and everything else. And it was just usually really sucky. I mean, we just grew into two different people. This person was always angry, hated everyone. I mean, and just a really hateful person. What finally ended that is, I had another friend from work, and when I'd gotten a call from this person, one night, and decided to go to this place in Decatur, and we're going to stay there that long. We run into my other friend, and well, they got to talking, and then then we left, and I found out that those two had become friends. So I went to the other guy, and I'm like, man, you don't want to be friends with this guy. This guy's not who you think he is, man. He's not a good dude, And I said, I explained, this is one of these deals where this person, calls once a year, and hey, you remember the time we was da-da-da, and I get to feeling guilty because I don't, want to hang out with them and everything, and I get roped into, going and hanging out with them. But this isn't the type of person you want to know. Well, he didn't listen. So the guy ends up basically banging his wife and causing his divorce. And I mean, wow, I mean, it just, wow. And it all because, this dude was the type of person, he stole this other person's wife just to see if he could for his own ego. Because he is such a miserable person. He was constantly looking for some kind of a validation. And he'd destroy anyone in his path to do it. And, we had a talk one time, and, I mean, it got part where I was so angry at this person. He couldn't get the hint. I don't have nothing to do with him. I remember we was over there when all this was going on, and the guy didn't want to admit, his marriage is falling apart. And, the dude that's causing it sitting right there, and lying about it and everything. I remember he went in there, went in the kitchen. We were sitting outside to get a drink of water. I just punched him in the nuts right there and just dropped his ass. And I mean, right there, don't call me no more. Don't start talking about the time. I remember the time I was there. That was this time. We were talking about this time. You don't want people like that in your life. You want them gone. Get the hell out of there. Another example, moochers. People who, are spoiled, immature, and had everything basically give to them, and they just basically go around hustling and bullshitting people. I had a friend like that too. We'd went into some business together, and he never had his part of the money, to pay for it. And it made it a lot harder on me because the stuff still had to be paid. Well, I had a friend in Texas who's a private investigator, and is able to get people's, backgrounds and stuff on the internet and things like that. And I found out, going back years, this person owed like all these people money. I mean, like thousands, like some of them like thousands of dollars. There was a trailer park, there was an apartment complex and stuff like that. And basically what this person was doing, and you meet this person, don't get me wrong, if you met this person, you would love this person. You would think that this person was God's gift to the world, and I'm a dick for saying stuff about him, but this is what this person would do. They started out owing A money. And so they moved on to B. And they would take the money that they owed B, but use it to pay A and wouldn't pay B. So they were actually never fixing their debt. They were just moving it. And so there was no hope that this person was ever going to pay, their part of it. Because they were always using what they owed you to pay somebody else. And you could see a pattern over time that this is what these people were doing. And as great as they were to be around and pleasant, they're just using you. They're just using you. And so, once again, that person's got to go. Got to get the hell out. The world is full of miserable people. Generally, most of those people think they're the victim. That they're the victim. You're going to have your miserable people, and you're going to have haters. And the thing is, I don't have any compassion for drama queens. I don't. And I'm going to tell you why. It doesn't take any energy to do it. The drama queens, and they're miserable because they're lazy. It takes effort to be happy. It takes a lot of work to be happy. It's not easy. It's a shitty, self-absorbed society that we live in. And it takes work to be happy because everything, around you see in the media and your entertainment and magazines tells you that you're less than what you actually are. And so being miserable is easy. It doesn't take any effort. All you have to do is be miserable, sit on your ass and blame everyone else for your problems so you never actually have to be accountable for anything. And that's what it takes to be a miserable person. And you're not going to take someone who wants to be miserable and pull them out of that and everything and make them happy if you're happy. It only works the other way. They pull you down, and you just cannot let it happen. You absolutely cannot let this happen. You've got to get them out of your life, or at least, keep them at an arm's length, because they're going to drag you down with them. Years ago, in my 20s, early 20s, I worked as a bouncer, in some strip, it's like one strip club, and and did a few other things. Back in the 90s, it was actually really, really cool. And it was the norm to be miserable, for everything to suck, and if you thought something was cool, then you were lame, because everything sucks, it's actually really, really uncool to be happy, in the early 90s. And people that were miserable and tortured people were revered, and happy people were, just basically pissed on by society, or at least, a good portion of it. And it was, the whole thing about, people sitting in coffee shops and which I got friends that work in coffee shops and everything. And that's cool, because I know that person's an active person, but people sitting in coffee shops and theorizing about how the world sucked and how terrible everything was. And I was one of them. I truly was. Played bass in a punk band and everything else. And kind of toured around the area. But the thing is, all these people that just sat on their ass in the coffee shop and doing poetry readings and all this other kind of stuff never did shit. They never did anything. All they did was romanticize this whole tortured negative thing. And the fact is, some of them weren't even miserable. They were faking it. That's how jacked up it is. Um, but I mean, people will just pull you down. I'll give you a couple other examples. Um, and we might actually, get this one. I may not have to break this one up. It might go a little over 20 minutes, but not much. But the fact is that well, I'll give you another example. Back years ago, I used to work in a warehouse, and we did work where we'd set up this thing where we donate a portion of our check to the United Way. And one Christmas, I won this drawing that they had, where I can't remember what the dollar amount was. I think it was over $100, but it was basically like a shopping spree at the local mall. Well, I don't like malls. Bouncing in clubs and things like that over the years, I learned to get really distrustful and uncomfortable around large groups of people. I just don't like them. I just don't. I like more intimate, more laid back stuff. But I'm definitely not a fan of the mall. But I knew a girl, a single mother, that didn't have money to buy Christmas. I think she had a young son. It may have been a daughter, but I remember being a son. It's been a long time ago. I'm 40 years old now. This was way, way a long time ago. And but I took the gift certificate and I gave it to her. I just gave it to her, so she could buy her kid Christmas. And she was in one of these relationships where she had. She had like a boyfriend all through high school, and he was a pretty good guy and everything. And then I don't know, something just happened. I mean, I don't know if she got bored or whatever, but she started dating this other dude and everything, and started getting a lot of tattoos and piercings and things like. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying that was opposite of what her personality was previous. There's nothing wrong with tattoos or piercings or anything like that. But it was a volatile relationship. And I'd get these calls and stuff happen. I'd go pick her up, or she'd be staying at somebody else, and she'd they'd break up, and then she'd go stay with somebody else a while, and then go back and get back with them, and everything else. And and it was obvious this relationship wasn't going to work. And I'd help any way that I could. But eventually it just got to where, which eventually it did fail, but I just I couldn't do the shit anymore. Could not put up with this. It was just ridiculous. All the shit that went on, and talking about working in strip clubs and things like that. There was another girl who'd got an apartment with one of her friends, and then her friends decided not to move it, and stuck her with the lease. She didn't even have furniture. Well, I had some furniture that, I was living in a place that was furnished, and I had some furniture in storage that I really need to get rid of. I was never going to use. So I actually gave this woman my furniture. Gave her my furniture. It was probably worth, around $1,000 or whatever. But it was stuck. Said it was stuff that I wasn't going to use anyway. I was paying to have it, in storage. But my point is that, we've seen somebody who was miserable simply because they wanted to be. And I mean, this is a person, every time you're around them, it's just something negative, something negative. No one's life's that bad. Even like children in Africa smile sometimes. I mean, but they like to be miserable because they like the attention that people give them. It's the type of, person, you go to a restaurant and the waitress, starts telling you her problems. It's like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be drunk up at the bar telling you my problems. What the hell, but those types, and they do it to get bigger tips and and things like that. But there's always some kind of bullshit going on. finally, I just had to break off all contact with them, and everything else. Um, the point is that when I was younger, I went out of my way, to give everything that I had to help a lot of people, help a lot of people. But the problem is these people, didn't really want to be helped. Um, they were these bitter, fucked up people that were never going to be happy because they didn't want to be, because whatever bullshit hustle or whatever that they were running on themselves or on others, they would always have someone to enable them and to keep doing it. So they never had to be accountable for anything. And personal accountability is the greatest thing ever, because what it does is it makes you powerful. I can't control other people, but I can control me. And if I take responsibility and control over my life, that's what made a big difference. When I was taking everything I had and giving it away to other people, thinking that I was doing a positive thing, making a big, big difference and stuff, I only ended up with three things, broke, alone, and basically destroyed. It damaged my view of the world. It damaged my self-confidence as a person. And it took me years to get back to where I felt comfortable in my own skin, where I felt powerful, to where I could look in the mirror and like the person that I saw looking back. Like I said, nobody's perfect. It's always a work in progress, but that's what it's going to take. And then you have people that are just always angry. It's almost like the people moved from the coffee houses and stuff in the early '90s, and now they're all on Facebook. You actually have people that get up every morning and go and they look on the internet to find things to be pissed off about so they can post it, under the guise of they're getting the word out because they have some weird, romanticized whistleblower fantasy about themselves that they're actually making a difference. Most people don't give a shit about a random article on Facebook that they just see on their news feed. I click right over that stuff, and most other people do too, because it's just hollow. It's just hollow. It's bullshit. It's like the same people that'll bitch about, you should never buy Pepsi because it has like a carcinogen in it. But they'll smoke a pound of weed a day, which has over 200 carcinogens in it. They just look for something to be pissed at. Well, you can do that, but you know what? I'm not going to be a part of that. I have, friends and people that care about you should propel you. They should move you forward, not try to drag you down. Not try to, and I know it sounds lame, but steal your happiness. And they'll try to do it because they're miserable themselves. And they want you to be miserable like them. And, there's whole Facebook communities of nothing but just like miserable people. So they can all be miserable together and talk about how stuff sucks, but never actually make an effort to change any of it. And don't do anything. That's why, I don't feel for people that choose to be drama queens. You're going to get the hell out of my life. Because, I'm moving forward. I want a better life for myself and my family, and you're not going to pull me down with your bullshit. And like I said, the world is just full of them. It just, to close out, like with two quotes, you got Henry Rollins. Seen an interview with him one time talking about being bullied in school, and everything. And he said, I remember him saying, people that put you down in your life or try to drag you down can only do one of two things. They can either plot your path to destruction, or they can plot your path to greatness. But the choice is yours. It's not their choice. The choice is yours. You have that power. You get to decide. They don't get a vote. And so, hopefully, you make the right decision. You stay positive. There are going to be times in your life where you feel like shit. And there's still times that I do too. That's just all a part of living. Into every, life, a little rain must fall. But I also want to quote Malcolm X there. I want to say, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And if you got people in your life that are dragging your life down, that are keeping you from reaching your goals and keeping you, from doing that, just like, oh crap, I dated this one girl for about 4 years. And she had this friend. I cringe every time I hear the name Susan. Just like, because it was just one of these bitches. Just a horrible human being. A, she was cheating on her husband. B, after her parents died, they left her like a bunch of money for her kid's college fund. She stole that college fund and used it to party with the girl that I was dating. But when that girl started dating me, she curbed that activity. Oh, she didn't like that. So first thing she did was start bashing me, and I put up with that shit for about 3 years before I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm out. And it just, and I just kind of emotionally dropped out and just let the relationship just dissolve itself, basically, until, basically the hint was taken and somebody hit the road. But, those people, I cannot stress it enough, get them the hell out of your life. Or at least if they're going to be around you, cut that shit out. Because, and like I said, that has to be your choice. That's got to be your choice that you make. Like I said, personal accountability. The greatest thing you'll ever have is ownership and responsibility for your own life. And when you get that, nobody can stop you. Nobody. And don't let them get in your way. I mean, I know people that just sit around pissed off and bitter and everything else all the time, and I used to be one of those people because of all the shit that got done to me when I was younger, from trying to help people, and I could be very, very bitter about that, but and I was for a while, but I didn't want to be one of those people. That's not the person that I wanted to be, and I hope that's not the person that you want to be too. So anyway, that's how you crawl out of the abyss. You get rid of all the invisible hands pulling you down into it, and you just get the hell out. Get up, walk out. And it's hard, and it's emotional, and it can take years of work, but you get out of there, it's worth it. And so anyways, we didn't actually have enough to make this into 2 parts, and so it was like one part, a little over 20 minutes, but not too much. But anyway, I thank you for your time, and come check us out next week, and we'll be talking about some other interesting things. Thanks. Have a great day.